Hello everyone, welcome to week 3 of this course. We will start now discussing about qualitative research methods and data analysis. We will pick up individual methods and go ahead in details. So first we will start with contextual inquiry. It is one of the most important and most widely used user research method by designers. So the key learning outcomes in this particular lecture will be, you will understand how to do contextual inquiry. It is a structured ethnographic method combining observation and interview in users' actual work environments. We will apply the core contextual inquiry principles, which is context, partnership, interpretation and focus, to design and conduct this field research. We will also recognize how CI reveals tacit knowledge, workarounds and artifacts that interviews and lab testing cannot surface. We will use the AEIOU framework to systematically capture activities, environments, interactions, objects and users during the CI sessions. So let's get started. What is contextual inquiry? Contextual inquiry is a structured ethnographic method combining observation and interview in users' actual work environments. So unlike the traditional interview process where the setting is neutral, the CI immerses the researchers in the user's context, their workplace or home or tools or the social dynamics and workflow constraints. So CI was formalized by Bayer and Holzblatt in their 1998 in their contextual design methodology. It bridges the gap between what the user says, the interview part of it, and what they actually do, the observation part of it. And that is why it has become so popular with designers, because we know that say and do has differences between users, and this particular method helps us in capturing both of them simultaneously. So how we will be using this AEIOU framework is, when we are looking at the activities that they are doing. So my whole idea is, I want to understand what are the main user tasks, what action sequences and workflows do they perform, and what variations exist in that. When I am looking at the environment in which they are doing it, I will try to understand what is the physical space in which this is happening. How is this workshop or workplace organized for them to do this activity? What environmental factors affect the work? Then the interaction part. Who does the user interact with when they are doing that particular activity? What information flows between the people involved, and what communication patterns exist? For the objects, what physical and digital artifacts are involved while doing it? How are they structured and modified? Now comes to users. Who are the people observed? What are their roles, goals, values and needs, and how do they differ? So now we will go more into its details. So when you are doing this CI, you have to remember that there are 4 core principles. First one is about the context, wherein I observe the user in their actual environment, using the real tools and actual workflows and authentic constraints. So I do not create anything which is a showcase. Always be aware that as soon as you as a researcher is present, it will have an influence on the environment, but try to be as non-interference causing as possible. Then comes partnership. So be an apprentice learning from a master. So that's the relationship you are supposed to have with the person that you are conducting CI with. Be collaborative, not extractive. The user guides you. Then interpretation. Construct shared meaning together. So I might see somebody doing a particular activity. I will have a certain interpretation, but always confirm that interpretation with your user, because the user might be doing the same activity thinking of something else. Hypothesize and validate understanding in real time. Focus. Define a clear focus question to concentrate data gathering and prevent scope creep from happening. Now let's go to contextual inquiry by looking at a case study. So it is a Shobha's smartwatch as a wellness companion. It is a day in the life study wherein Shobha is a 25-year-old software engineer in Delhi. So first, let's look at the participant's profile. She is 25 years old. She is a software engineer and works in the Noida Gurgaon Tech Hub area. The device that she is using is a black smartwatch which she wears 24/7. The research design over here is Firstly, I use some diary study in order to get initial idea of how she works around, and then I do a contextual inquiry wherein I track her with her watch in the entire day and see how she is working with it. So the duration is full day observation from 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. The research question over here is, how does a smartwatch integrate into the daily wellness routine of a young urban professional? The 7 o'clock, so when my observation is supposed to start, I see that she wakes up in the morning with a gentle vibration alarm, so the alarm is not jarring, and when she wakes up, it also the alarm starts sounding when her sleep is in a particular phase where it won't be too jarring for her to wake up. Then the watch display phase, as you can see over here, I have tried to show it towards you. So the watch display phase, when she wakes up and looks at it, it shows that she has slept for 7 hours 15 minutes that night. It has a very soft interface design, so as soon as you wake up and you see this particular interface, it does not hurt your eyes. Then the key insight is sleep data. So I can also look at the sleep data when I click over here, and it builds self-awareness about her sleep hygiene activities. So the context over here is, she lives in a quiet Delhi apartment, and there is natural morning light also available over here. So you can look at it that how I have used the AEIOU in different aspects of it. So the activity over here is, she wakes up and looks at her watch, and the environment over here is a quiet Delhi apartment which also gets morning sunlight, and she is waking up as slowly her sleep gets lightened because of the morning sun. The watch determines it and it plays a soft alarm. Now coming to the interactions, when she wakes up, the first thing that she does is turns her attention towards her watch, and then looks at it, and then she says, okay, I have slept for so much. Then she has a further button over here which will give her detailed analysis on how much she slept and gives her an idea about her sleep hygiene, which can give her a mental idea of whether what she did was perfect or not, or whether she needs to make some modifications in her lifestyle. Then comes the objects over here. The object over here is the black smartwatch. I can also consider the other objects like the curtains in the environment, which also enable the sunlight to come in. Then comes the users, the U. The user is, as we already described, the tech professional who is 25 years old, and it is a quiet Delhi apartment. I am not talking about her family, so she is living alone in this apartment. Now I go to the next part. At 8 o'clock, she goes for her morning exercise at a certain place. So the workout mode starts, which is about outdoor run. It gives her real time metrics when she is running. So she goes for a 5-kilometer run, and it is giving her an idea about her heart rate. It also you can see on the background that there is some kind of historical architecture, and there is a certain kind of environment in which she is running. So they all give an idea about this person, about the person's choices. She might have also chosen to run on the footpath in the city that she is living in. She might have also chosen to go and run in the gym, which is a different kind of an environment. So here I am trying to note down the different kind of environments that she prefers while doing this exercise, which gives me greater idea about this particular person. Now comes data used for pacing in the warm Delhi morning. Then I will do some UX notes. I will do a note on, so she is running and she might be looking at her watch at a glance and then making a decision. At that point of time, I am not disturbing her because she is doing her run. So I can keep a note of all these things, and when she is done with the run, I can ask these questions like, why did you choose to run in this particular environment? When you were trying to glance your watch, what were you trying to see? You are running in a warm Delhi environment. So did your watch help you in making certain kind of decisions which helps you perform better in this kind of environment, or that is not a matter of concern? Did you look at the weather conditions before going out? So the insights that help I can gather from here is contextual use of health metrics during a physical activity. Now let's go ahead. So I am constantly doing observation, and I will be asking questions only when I think it is the right point to intervene. I can keep noting down my questions and I can intervene at the right time. There might be also cases where you would like to ask the questions right away. So you have to make this right kind of decision when is the good time to make an intrusion, so that you do not disturb the flow of work which is happening. So this is midday, sedentary alert comes. So she is right now working in her office, and she is deeply engrossed in her work, and as a result she has forgotten to move out of her chair for a pretty long time. So her watch sends her a message that time to move. Now you can see what is her reaction to it. Does it draw her attention when it comes, or it does not draw her attention? If it draws her attention, does she go and move, or does she just dismisses the notification? So what note you will take is, when is the disruption welcome, and is the interruption irritating, or is the interruption causing a pleasant feeling, or what kind of principle it is helping you. So here it helps you in understanding whether the disruption is welcome or not. It helps you in understanding what design principles can be used, so that even when you get an interruption, you know that the interruption does not encourage the feeling of disgust, but it is able to achieve the reason why this interruption is given. Here the interruption that go for a walk is something good for our health. So it should be delivered in a manner that it creates this feeling that I want to go for a walk, and it does not create a feeling of irritation. Now let's come to the end of the day, where she is already winding down. So the watch already tells her that it is time for winding down. She is right now in a warm low light and comfortable environment, which is more conducive to falling asleep. The watch auto transitions to the night mode, and that is something she likes it. It also helps her in winding down. So again, you make note of what is happening over here, the automatic context awareness, the device adaptation to the user's stance, and you can ask maybe questions next day in the morning about this. So when I am trying to do this particular research, my whole idea is, because a watch is something that she is wearing 24/7. So it is a constant wellness companion. So I need to firstly gather data. Even before I go into starting this contextual inquiry, I have to gather data in some form which tells me which are those pointers in which I need to go and do this interviewing, contextual inquiry. Let's say she might be also waking up in the middle of the night and looking at her watch for something. Do I really want to capture that point of time? Will she be comfortable with capturing that point of time? So context sensitive UI is another thing that I want to understand, which is about how she has adjusted the settings in order for the settings to adapt for different sleep, exercise, work or rest context. I can also design this watch software in order that it gives different kind of interfaces without the user have to set it, and I can also test whether it is working properly by doing this in contextual inquiry. I can also check what is the impact of these proactive health nudges. Is it looked at as an irritant, or does it help in improving somebody's relationship with their health because this nudge is coming to them? I want to also understand how is data transformed into self knowledge. So how sleep metrics get transformed into self knowledge, how heart rate, distance tracking, they all get transformed into self knowledge. Whether somebody is ready to use a weekly, monthly or 6 monthly tracking, and they want all these inputs coming to them in terms of nudges in order for them to understand how their performance is improving. I also want to understand about what kind of delivery of these nudges works in different kinds of environments. So the person might be in a dim light, must be just about to fall asleep or about to wake up or just woke up, or is in the bright sunlight doing exercising. So depending on what kind of the environment is, what kind of this ambient design works best. I can also try to understand the circadian alignment. So interface adapts to time of the day and how it works. So, when I'm trying to understand all of these things, why all of these things came across is because of my AE-IOU mapping. So, when I am looking at the ambient situation, I am looking at the environment. When I am looking at data as self knowledge, I am looking at the user and their interaction with the data. When I am looking at proactive health nudges, I am again looking at the interaction and how my user responds to it as a result of it. So, that is where the importance of this AE-IOU mapping is. So, when we are trying to do this, we have observed in this particular case certain UX design principles. So, I saw that glanceability is very important. So, critical data should be readable in less than 2 seconds. So, when I am running, I should be able to look at the most critical data. So, then I need to understand from this user what is the most critical data. For somebody it might be the distance, for someone it might be their speed, and that most critical data should be visible to them in less than 2 seconds and under different kinds of lighting environment. Then comes context awareness. I also observed that automatic mode transition should happen. Users are not very interested in constantly changing their watch's interface. So, there should be a way in which this automatic mode transition happens from sleep to exercise to work to wind down. There has to be also a gentle persuasion, so nudges rather than demands, and people will act upon it. So, maybe I make this conclusion because I observed that Shobha and many other people with whom I did this contextual inquiry, that when the watch did these nudges, it had a persuasive impact on them. Then the circadian alignment. I also observed that interface adapts to the time of the day, and as a result, whatever be the time of the day, whatever be the lighting condition, the user is feeling comfort with the interface. And there is a seamless integration. So, in case of Shobha and others who are using this watch, the technology has faded into their daily routine. It is no longer a separate entity. It is part of the person. So, after doing this initial study, I will be able to answer some of these questions. How does the smartwatch's data change Shobha's relationship with her own body? When does a health nudge cross from helpful to intrusive? What privacy and data considerations arise from 24/7 biometric monitoring? How would you redesign the sedentary alert for better user engagement? So, after I have done this observation for an entire day, for 2 days, 3 days with Shobha, I can ask these questions further because now I already have the background data and I can dig deeper with my background data to get rich data from Shobha. So, let us say I begin this contextual inquiry now. So, as I told you in contextual inquiry, it is very important that you behave as a researcher, as an apprentice, and your user is the person who is teaching you, and you have to assume that they know everything about the product, what is the best way that they can use the product. So, we start. I am here to learn how your smartwatch fits into your day-to-day life. You are the expert, I am the apprentice. So, Shobha will say, oh, that sounds interesting. So, this is a simulated thing that I have created for you to understand this better. Oh, that sounds interesting. I use my watch for so many things. Happy to show you everything. So, I will ask you to walk me through your routines just like you normally would. No need to change anything. Sure, I can start from my morning alarm routine. It's pretty much autopilot at this point. So, here you can see that earlier I had done my observation and asked some questions. Now, I will ask much more deeper questions over here. So, remember we are testing the watch, not you. So, you have to constantly tell people that it is not they who are being examined, it is the product that is being examined. There are absolutely no wrong answers here. So, Shobha says that's a relief. I was worried I would say something wrong about how I use it. So, your users are always when presented with this kind of a research scenario, they always feel that maybe I might not be doing something right and they might not be very confident. So, these kind of statements from the interviewer puts them at ease. May I take notes, record audio and photograph your interactions with the watch? So, any kind of recording should be done with explicit permission. Yes, absolutely. Notes and audio are fine, just no photos of my face, please. So, if that kind of a demand is made, please avoid clicking photographs of her face. Then we will reach into the warm up and baseline questions. Tell me about your current role in tech. How does a typical weekday feel? Why I am trying to do it? Because I need to understand the entire environment of the user. So, the user says, I am a product manager at a fintech startup. My days are packed, back-to-back stand-ups, Slack pings and occasional fire drill. So, I will ask, what are the primary problems you are trying to solve when you bought this watch? So, the user says, honestly, I kept missing messages during meetings. I wanted something discreet to check notifications without pulling out my phone. So, you saw that when we were doing just the observational studies, we observed lot of things, but this key information, why even she bought this watch, was not apparent to you. So, that is the benefit of this contextual inquiry. When after observation or during observation, when you are asking this question, it gives you greater clarity why something went on. What other devices are crucial to your day? How connected is the watch? So, Shobha says, my MacBook, iPhone and AirPods, the watch syncs with all of them. It's basically my notification hub on my wrist. Now comes the contextual observation, which you can again perform. So, I have tried to show you the observation first, and then I am bringing to you the questions to bring little bit greater clarity. But in actual contextual inquiry, you can run these processes simultaneously. You can also run these processes one after the other, or create any kind of mixture which works best for your context. So, let us say the morning routine which I wanted to understand. Now, it is not exactly morning. So, I might ask her to just simulate how you wake up. So, again, simulation always has problems. The user will tend to miss out on something. Show me exactly what you do when you first wake up. Okay, reaches for wrist, I hit dismiss on the vibration alarm, then immediately swipe to check my sleep score. I need to see that number first thing. In my observation also, I had seen that was what was happening. So, I can have the next question. What does 7 hour 15 minutes actually mean to you? If it's above 7, I feel validated. Below 6.5 and I am already planning an early night. The number kind of sets my mood for the day honestly. Then how does the vibration alarm compare to a traditional phone alarm? Way better. It wakes only me, not my partner, but sometimes I sleep through it. If I am really exhausted, then the phone backup kicks in. When do you charge the device if you are wearing it to sleep? While I am getting ready in the morning, about 30 minutes on the charger, it's enough to get through the whole day. Now, next comes to her workout. Walk me through how you start your run at Lodi Garden. I open the workout app, select outdoor run, wait for the GPS lock. Sometimes it takes ages, then hit start. I also start my playlist from the watch. Which metric matters most to you during a run? Pace per kilometer. I am training for a half marathon, so I need to hold a steady 6.5 minutes per kilometer. The real time pace display is what I keep glancing at. What happens when a notification comes in mid-run? I have learned to use do not disturb during workouts. Before that, Slack pings would pop up mid-stride and totally break my focus. Can you read the watch display clearly in the sunlight? Honestly, not great. I have to cup my hand around it or move to a shaded spot. The always on display washes out in direct Delhi sun. Then workday at office, I will start asking questions. I see you just got a stand alert. What goes through your mind? If I am in flow, I swipe it away immediately, but if I am between tasks, I will actually stand up and stretch. It depends entirely on my focus level. Does the vibration feel disruptive during a meeting? It did at first. I have since lowered the haptic strength. Now it's a gentle tap, enough for me to notice, but no one else does. How do you decide which notification to act on from your wrist? I triage my source. Slack from my manager is equal to check immediately. Marketing channel, ignore. Calendar reminders, glance them, dismiss. It's all muscle memory now. Show me how you typically respond to a message from your watch. Demonstrate. I use the scribble feature for short replies, okay or 5 minutes, anything longer and I reach for my phone. So now I will go to the evening wind down. It's 10:30 p.m. Walk me through your wind down routine with the watch. I check my resting heart rate first. It's kind of my daily health barometer. If it's elevated, I know I pushed too hard or didn't hydrate enough. How do you handle notifications at this hour? Sleep focus kicks in at 10 p.m. automatically. Only calls from my parents and partner come through. Everything else waits till morning. I notice you are adjusting the screen brightness. Is this a nightly thing? Yeah, the auto brightness isn't aggressive enough at night. I manually dim it because even the lowest auto setting feels too bright in a dark room. Does the watch help or hinder your ability to disconnect from tech at night? Both, honestly. It helps me filtering notifications, but I sometimes catch myself checking the activity rings before bed. That's a rabbit hole. So now I will do a wrap up, and in this wrap up session I will ask some more questions like, if you could point to one friction point with the watch, what would it be? Battery anxiety. I am always calculating, will it last till bedtime? If I forget to charge in the morning, my whole tracking day is ruined. If you had a magic wand, what feature would you add or change? A week-long battery easily, and a smart morning briefing, weather, calendar, health summary, all on one screen when I wake up instead of swiping through 5 apps. Thank you so much for your time, Shobha. This has been incredibly helpful. It was actually fun. I really never thought about how much I rely on this thing until you asked me to show it. Good luck with the research. So that brings us to the end of this. Always have this wind up session. Without that, your user will not be able to feel a sense of completion. So whenever you are doing this contextual inquiry, we are trying to understand situated learning, legitimate peripheral participation, and tacit knowledge, and these basically form the theoretical foundations of contextual inquiry. So with situated learning, I mean that knowledge is embedded in an activity and the context. So learning happens through participation in communities of practice. Legitimate peripheral participation. So apprentices start at the periphery. So they are observing and gradually move towards fuller participation. So motivation from participation itself, and slowly the user notices you less and less. Tacit knowledge. So the expert knowledge often cannot be articulated verbally. Apprentices learn tacit knowledge through observation and doing, and not through verbal instructions. So always remember, people are adaptable and resourceful creatures. They invent workarounds and quick fixes to problems and then forget that they even invented the workaround. The details of everyday work become second nature and invisible. So when you are doing contextual inquiry, you have to combine observation and questioning with together. So the key takeaways are, when you are doing contextual inquiry, adopt a master apprentice model. You as a researcher is the apprentice and your user is the master. Do a in situ overall recall. Observing users in their real environment reveals workarounds and habits that interviews alone miss. Context triggers authentic behavior, not rehearsed answers. Observe first and probe next always. It is about a partnership and not extraction. So here are some of the key references that you can go through. Thank you so much. See you in the next lecture.